fuel still is way down at about 49%, but that is a lot more haphazard. In terms of passenger numbers, if you look at page 22, well, we'll go to page, let's go to page 23. I guess that's better. You can see we're still way below where we should be. We're down about 70% for the month of July from last year. And we're, you know, if you look at it, we're still about 41% below our 2016 numbers. So we've got a long way to go in terms of getting people comfortable flying again and getting people out of the system. On page 25, not going to spend too much time on this, but in terms of the performance of the individual routes, Atlanta is surprising me, and it's down at load factors of 38.2%. That's pretty bad. And when you look at American to Charlotte and American to Dallas, we're at almost 66% and 69% respectively. So American is certainly doing a lot better job with their route schedule. And I did ask Aaron to look at fares in comparison through Atlanta. And Aaron, do you have anything to report on that?
I sent them to you before the meeting.
What do you remember?
They're pretty low, actually.
Yeah.
They're maybe I think Deltas are higher compared to American. I could say that.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard that, but we wanted to drill down, and you know, I didn't get to that earlier today, but Aaron's reporting that Delta fares are a little higher, but that doesn't seem to explain the difference. I think a lot of it is going to be connectivity, and with.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it possible that it's because there are multiple flights to Atlanta and then there's only one run to Dallas and I think one or two to Charlotte, that maybe that's why those planes are fuller, because there's not as many options?
Yeah, that's part of it. It's the route schedule. So the O&D business to Charlotte or to Dallas is only a minor part of the number of folks that fly. And so really it's what works best for your schedule with the connectivity through those hubs, I think, and the options available from Dallas and from Charlotte, and not the O&D traffic of just going to that particular city or point. So, but overall, when you combine them, you know, typically those load factors are more in line with one another, and American is, you know, substantially higher than Delta is. So. Okay, on page 26, we already talked about this, but you can see our daily parking car count for August. It is up above July. It is climbing in the right direction, but it's still moving very slowly on inventory. And again, if you look at page 27 and you look at those, you know, TSA screenings, it is a nice bump up from the, you know, from the 30th, or from week 30 to 34. And so, you know, we're heading in the right direction, and hopefully we can continue to go up on that curve. Maybe not as sharp a V as some would have predicted, but it is definitely starting to rise. And Madam Chair, that's it on the information items.
Great. Thank you very much, Alan, for the report. Let's move on to finance. Matt, are you here with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. All right, good afternoon. Return to the middle of page 31. We got the actual budget report for the month of July. Total revenues were $419,000, opposed to the $558,000 budgeted, and that's $139,000 under budget. Most of that is due to the discounts we gave to the airlines and the rental car companies, and basically the lower volume coming out of the parking lot. Those are the two main areas that affected the under budget amount. Expenses for the month were $366,000 as opposed to $459,000 budgeted, and that was $93,000 under budget for the month. Net income operating net income for the month was 38,000 as opposed to 83,000 budgeted, and that's 44,000 under budget. And then in July was the first CARES Act amount that we received, which was 318,000. That was mainly for a couple of months of payroll. That gave us an adjusted net income for the month of 357,000, and that left us with 273,000 over budget.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Matt?
Move to accept this report, Kevin.
Bob, I'll second.
Great. So Kenan moved and Bob Page seconded to accept the report. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone decline? Okay, we accept the financial report. Thank you very much, Matt. So next we'll move on to the governance and nominating committee report. Do you want me to do that one, Alan?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind, Madam Chair.
Okay. So the governance and nominating committee met as we are supposed to do on August 19th. And that was myself and Dr. Norton and Jerry Diedenbach and Jean Calder. And moving forward, you can see that we came up with the proposed slate of officers. If you'd read the report there, you'll see that one of the things we decided to do was for continuity and not wanting to disturb that continuity, especially in these times. And as it is historically been followed in the airport, not by bylaws, but by tradition, that your same slate of officers would serve again, which would be myself as chair, Dr. Norton as vice chair, and Jerry Diedenbach as the secretary treasurer. Within your report, you can see that we also discussed possibilities for next year as that chair position will roll over. And so we felt very comfortable that the authority is in a strong position with those currently serving, as well as the number of people on the actual authority who have expressed interest in serving. We are very good moving forward. Any discussion on this?
Perfect.
This is something what we will take a vote on, and if anybody else has any other nominations, this can happen at our meeting in September. Great. Alan, we don't need to move to accept this report, do we?
No, you don't need to accept the report at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
But as you said, in September, you can take nominations from the floor and vote on the slate of officers.
Great. All right. Thank you. So moving on, we have a couple of resolutions to address. Alan, do you want to start us out with the BBVA USA line of credit renewal?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is for renewal of our line of credit with BBVA USA. It's a $1 million line of credit. It is a safety net for us in the event that we need it. The interest rate would be a little less than the previous one. It's an annual line of credit, but this one runs, I believe, from June 15th to August 31st of 2021. The rate is LIBOR plus 2.75%. With a minimum of 3.75% per year. The previous minimum was 4.5%. And we do have Steve, and I'm going to mess it up, but Steve Kuliak from BBVA USA is here to answer any questions.
Move approval of resolution 20-013.
Second, Craig Carter.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, this is Jerry. I'll be abstaining for this vote for an obvious conflict of interest because I serve on the board at BBVA, and I will file the appropriate abstention paperwork.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. I do have a question. It's a general question. In each of these paragraphs here, it describes that we have extended the note for an additional year, but the dates don't really line up like that. Is that just because it came up at different times during the year and then it retroactively renews?
That's correct. And then we have gone ahead and put that additional 2 months on there just to make sure. I know that over the years, there's been a little bit of a delay sometimes with the underwriting of it, depending on when the financials are finished. So we just wanted to make sure there was ample time and we didn't have ongoing situations where there wouldn't be access to the line of credit if you guys needed it.
Good. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we're ready to call for a vote. Suzanne?
Okay, Mr. Carter
Yes.
and Mr. Page,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Horvath,
Yes.
Ms. Horvath?
Yes.
okay, motion passes.
Great. Thank you, Suzanne. Moving on to the next resolution for the FDOT Supplemental Joint Participation Agreement. Alan?
Madam Chair, this was a series of supplemental agreements for a master grant for hangar improvement and construction. And so this is this increases the existing grant by an amount of $508,825. And the grant supplement expires in December 31st of 2023. So this covers as far as the 50% share of all the hangar work that we are now doing and committed to, and will leave a balance that would be available for future hangar improvements or construction of a hangar, should we choose to do that and partner with another interested party. We've talked to a couple of folks and need to talk to a couple more once we see how the grant funds shake out here and the project that we're currently under gets wrapped up. But we are doing some estimating in terms of, you know, what might be left and what sort of hangar might be able to be constructed at a 50-50 rate. And we will come back at some point to the Facilities and Planning Committee to discuss those options on that funding. But for right now, this will cover all of the work that we are currently engaged in.
All right. So we are going to need a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move adoption of Resolution 20-014, the FDOT Supplemental Joint Participation Agreement, the JPA.
Thank you, Jerry. A
Second.
Kennan is a second. Any further discussion on this? Okay. Suzanne, we're ready to call for a vote.
Okay, Mr. Diedenbach,
Aye.
Mr. Page,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yeah.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Carter,
Yes.
Ms. Horvath.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Make it easy always, Alan. The tenant report, moving on. Debbie, let's hear what's happening.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and hello, everyone. There's pretty much the report from UAC is that things are status quo. Our maintenance business is still as busy as ever. Our flight school is still flying as busy as ever. Our air taxi is at normal rates, and our fuel sales are remaining down. We look at this every week, and we reached out to some partner FBOs and people that we know in the industry, as well as our AvFuel rep. And the trend in general aviation now is to tanker fuel. And some folks say that that's out of loyalty to supporting the local FBO and buying gas at home. And others are saying it's COVID-19 caution, trying to limit interaction with folks. So we have restructured slightly our ramp fees to make it more enticing for people to spend money on gas rather than on a ramp fee. And we've seen that have some positive impact. So we will be watching that very carefully over the next month to see how that trend, if we can get the gas trend going in the upward direction that we want it to go. Alan mentioned the military. We had an Osprey, a Black Hawk, and a King Air all from the military on the ramp at the same time. And it was, some of my people were saying, it's like back to normal. This is the way it should be. So the pizzas were flying in the door and the military folks were appreciative. So we are seeing military traffic eke back. Mostly we're getting T6 trainers. We're not getting the T45s yet, but we're working hard on getting that going again. We're working on our generator install. I mentioned last month that we had purchased a generator to run the FBO in the event that there is a power outage from a storm or any other power outage. And we ran into some significant issues with GRU and the way the power lines were coming into the building. And so GRU has been working on that, and we appreciate that. But it's that's the delay to this project. But we're anxious to get that in. All systems are go. We're just waiting for the solution from GRU. And that's what's going on at UAC. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will say thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. Does anybody have any questions for Debbie? Thanks for sharing. It's always good to hear from you.
Thank you.
Airport Authority input. Do I hear any further input? Attendance is good. None of us are in trouble. So everything's looking good. I think with that, we can go ahead and adjourn this meeting, 4:35.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks very
You all.
much.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.
Thanks, Madam Chair.
My son's flying to Mississippi. Florida's regs that you're not allowed to fly into any civil